Hello and welcome to the Hoop Troop podcast. I am Matt O'Connor, and joining me as they will on all of our shows are my cousin Luke Drobner.
What's good?
My brother Mike O'Connor.
Hello.
And producer Mark Pump. So this is a pretty historic day for the Hoop Troop podcast, recording this video for the first time. We're testing out the Zoom waves. I have a feeling it's not going to work, but we'll see what happens. If so, we might have some video clips for you guys. If not, whatever. Just ignore this intro. Now that we're through with this painful intro, I would like to air a grievance, a basketball-related grievance. And it has to do with the commentators of nationally broadcasted NBA games. There's no good athlete, like former athlete, NBA player, broadcaster anymore. Because it's just, you get Chris Webber and it's horrible. Like, it's actually hard to watch.
You don't like Reggie Miller?
No, I don't like Reggie Miller. Oh my god.
I don't mind Reggie Miller.
No, but the two of them just ramble about nothing, and it's just horrible. Oh wow.
Richard Jefferson does the games on Yes. Do you watch Yes?
See, but that's the thing. Like, I'm talking the national broadcast. Like, because I watch Knicks games. I love Clyde Frazier, and like, granted, yeah, he's kind of old and just rhymes a lot and like a little senile, but I like it. And I'm spoiled. I have Mike Breen, and I'm not talking about like. I like Kevin Harlan. I like Mike Breen. Like, I like all these guys. But you don't have the same basketball presence. That, like, football, for example. Like, I like having Tony Romo games. Like, I think those are kind of fun. I like Chris Collinsworth on the call. Like, I think he's good at it.
Tony Romo's a little overrated.
I don't know.
No.
I've grown on Romo's grown on me. Like, I feel good about
I feel Romo's a little too arrogant for me. He's like, oh, this is what's going to happen next play. I'm like, how do you know that, Tony?
It's electric because it's cool. And like, I feel like the NBA needs some of that. And instead it's like Chris Webber, like just yelling like too loud near your microphone. And it's just like, oh my God.
I'll just say, like, I always see content about people shitting on Chris Webber.
He's horrible.
I've never noticed it. Am I crazy?
Every TNT game, he trends on Twitter. They're like,
well, he and Marv are calling the games together, and it's unbelievably bad. Like, they've also, on the last one, I forget what it was, on the Thursday night game, they keep talking over each other because they're not in the same room, and they also did two outros that just completely overlapped. It was really bizarre.
Because that was Bucks Lakers. That's what really sparked this. Like, I had to get this off my chest.
What did they do?
Horrible. Chris Webber, like, screaming, like, someone dunked it. And he's just like, oh, my God. And it's just like, Jesus, relax, Chris Webber.
He peaked the mic.
The football equivalent, Romo gets 2 amps, too. But for some reason, everyone loves
him. Jim, you know, he's a guy who does this. Like, I like that. I think it's electric. I like Romo.
I just can't believe that this is the first thing you wanted to talk about immediately.
No, I needed to get this off my chest.
Okay.
I mean, it's big. I don't mind talking about this. I really do. Like, it makes it hard to watch the games when Chris Webber calls it. A lot of the times I end up turning the audio off and try to listen to something else. But
I mean, because there are literally times where he starts talking and he has no idea how he's going to finish the sentence, and it just keeps going. The sentence is like 5 minutes long because he's just rambling. It's insane.
And we lost one of the Van Gundys. I was really liking the Van Gundys in the bubble. Every time they were.
Yeah, but like even then, you get Mark Jackson, and it's like I don't like when Mark Jackson.
I don't like how they split Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy up. I think when they're together, I think it's better because they're friends and they like take shots at each other.
Yeah, but I mean that's
like,
the
whoa,
thing. Like,
Jeff. You know, it's like
there are some broadcasts that have good dynamics and like it does kind of work, but at the same time, like it's just they need that charismatic basketball player to get out there and do it.
Mark Jackson is a former player.
Yeah, I know. I don't love him either, but that's what I mean. Like it's like we need that guy. And I've been trying to think of someone who could sub in. I feel like Vince Carter would be a good fit because he has that podcast he does, and he's pretty coherent on that. Like, and he works for ESPN. Like, let him go
Bill Walton does NCAA.
Those are really just an acquired taste.
I mean, he's just right out
who's
there.
actually been kind of good is Richard Jefferson has actually been okay.
I said that.
He does a lot of the Yes Network ones, but every once in a while he does some ESPN stuff, and it's kind of good.
I like Richard Jefferson because I think he actually does. He kind of, I don't know what this means, but he keeps it real, kind of like he's brutally honest when he's on. But then the other person I like, and this is kind of an intensely hot take, I think. For his role, he's serving a role. Kendrick Perkins just kind of coming in and bulldozing everything.
I don't like Kendrick Perkins.
Like just speculating on what trades are going to happen.
I find it to be hilarious. So
he's he's like Shaq or like a Charles Barkley to the jump. That's how I see his role.
You guys
Speaking of
watch
Shaq and Charles
that
Barkley,
Shaq Donovan Mitchell thing?
that Shaq Donovan Mitchell exchange where Shaq is just like, I think you're bad at basketball, and Donovan Mitchell it was so awkward.
Donovan Mitchell was
everyone's coming out saying, like, why are these guys like dictating who's good and who's bad? And it's kind of the truth. Like,
I mean,
obviously,
I also kind of agree with Shaq. I think Donovan Mitchell is a little overrated. But that's my preference. Like, I don't like the fact that he's like 6'1" or 6'2". I don't know how big he is, but I just feel like he's a small guard, and like a small guard plus athleticism. I'm like, does that really work? Do I play him at the 1? Do I play him at the 2? I don't really know where to put him. And like,
I feel like
how
you're
does
a
he
little
fit?
jealous you're not 6'1" and have super athleticism.
I wanted to comment.
Yeah,
I was laughing at your phrasing of you don't like that he's 6'1". I don't really care for that.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
me.
I like. This is just my
I
preference.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people might agree with me. I like tall basketball players who can dribble and shoot the basketball.
I mean, that's why the special 3 is definitely like, that's the LeBron, the Giannis, the Kawhi. Like, you don't have many of
Kevin
those. They're
Durant.
the most coveted in the league. It's hard to get guys like that. So I
Yeah,
get what you're saying. But Donovan Mitchell, yeah, he's an undersized 2. It's a little weird, which is why like Shaq kind of has a point. But at the same time, like, so many people have now piled on saying like, why are they just like shitting on good players in the league? Like, what does that really accomplish other than like keeping the Jazz kind of irrelevant?
But also, it's just weird because the backdrop of the Jazz being the second best team in the West and on a 7-game win streak, and Donovan Mitchell's having a career year. I don't think Donovan Mitchell is overrated. I find him to be kind of properly rated, that he's solid, and he'll probably be an all-star. But
he's averaging 24,
and he's shooting like
24 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists.
And they're what,
and a
third in the
steal.
West now? Because they went on that huge winning streak, or they're still on it, or maybe just lost. But I know that they're absolutely moving. And it's weird because Gobert is historically overpaid and not that good, but I guess it's working for them.
Yeah, they're second in the West right now, but they're tied with the Clippers. Lakers are 13-4, Jazz are 12-4, Clippers are 12-4. Blazers 4th, 8-6. Nuggets finally moved back up into playoff positions, and then it's the Grizzlies, Suns, and Warriors fill out the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much that's going to change, and probably more so in the East than in the West. Like, I feel like a lot of the playoff teams that are in are definitely not going to end up being playoff teams. Like,
I feel like
the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks, the Cavs, like, their teams. Although the Cavs just like slaughtered the Nets twice, so not slaughtered, but one of them was pretty triumphant.
Sexland.
Well, yeah,
playing very well.
Well, because Garland just came back, and then I guess Durant was out the second game they played the Nets, but they beat the Nets twice in a row, and one time they had all 3 of those stars. So it's
Andre Drummond is also, I think he's leading the league in rebounds.
But don't you figure they're going to move on from Drummond? Am I crazy to think that?
They're not 100% going to move on from
Drummond.
2 centers that are going to be on the move. Steven Adams is going to leave New Orleans.
Washed.
Yeah, for sure.
Steven Adams is not washed.
Steven Adams is washed. Throw him in the garbage.
And Andre Drummond will move on from Cleveland, which I think is good because I think there's a lot of teams out there that need a big. Like the Nets need a big. The Celtics need a big.
The problem is, what do the Nets trade now? The Nets have nothing to
they're not going to trade for these guys. If the Nets trade for anybody, it's like JaVale McGee.
But there's no way either of them are going to be on the buyout market. Like, you don't buy out Andre Drummond for no reason.
I have no details on this, but I saw something on Twitter that said the Clippers might be interested in Drummond. I have no clue what you give there, but that's going to piss me off. I just don't like the Clippers very much. But
they need to do something because Zubats is fine, but he shouldn't be like your go-to.
I think right now,
especially not with like the bigs on the Lakers. Like, I feel like realistically, you need to. At this point, the Lakers are the team that you need to model your team after to try and beat them. Like, you need to pretty much target their structure and say, all right, what do we need to add to compete with them on every level? And the Clippers
has Marcus Gasol even played this year? Like,
yep.
I feel like he played like 2 games.
He's playing.
Not well,
he,
I think is really
he's fine. In his role, it's fine. They don't ask him to do too much.
No.
Still solid defensively. Makes cool passes sometimes. Marcus Gasol's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, and I guess you don't need him to do much. He's probably like your 5th option.
He's starting games. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he starts.
I don't watch
the
Lakers.
Doesn't Harold play more minutes than him anyway? Like, it's not like he's really
probably on a per minute basis. Harold's been good too.
Yeah.
Harold rules.
No,
and my question is why do you start Marcus Gasol then? Like, what's the strategy there? Mark, you probably watch the most Lakers out of all of us. Why does that make
well,
sense?
first of all, I mean, like Frank's trotting out. I wouldn't pay too much attention to even who's starting right now because they're running through so many lineups all the time, and they're trying to keep like AD and LeBron's minutes low. Oh God, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh shit.
No, now you're not.
Wow, yikes. I can't believe we brought him on here for this.
I'm just gonna loop this section for an hour and call it the episode.
Absolute sabotage.
But anyway, yeah, I mean they're playing around with a lot of different lineups, but I mean it's because they don't want to start AD at the 5, which is why they would put Gasol.
I don't think it's that
5.
they don't want to start him at the 5. It's
they will
want to
eventually.
Start at the 5.
Yeah, that's also why
I don't understand why he's so resistant to playing the 5. He has the size
probably
to
more
do
physically taxing.
It's the people he has to guard. I don't think he wants to guard post players.
Doesn't want to bang down low.
Yeah, but he should because they'd be a lot better if he did.
I don't know.
Are the Lakers not good enough for you right now, Matt?
But the thing is, they could be better. They could be better.
The tragic thing.
Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I mean, it's tragic for the Bucks. I don't know if anybody watched the Lakers-Bucks game the other day. Mm-hmm. I never even felt like the Bucks had a chance of winning.
It's probably because Chris Webber was talking over it.
Maybe. But that's the thing. Like, I didn't realize he was the comment. I guess I wasn't listening. I don't know. But I guess it's easy to not listen when he's rambling. I don't know.
Anyway, go. What were you saying?
That I just felt like the Lakers were head and shoulders better than the Bucks. This is to your
They're
point that
the
Lakers are already too good. I think.
I just think the Bucks made sacrifices this offseason that don't necessarily make them demonstrably better. Like Drew Holiday is better than Eric Bledsoe for sure, but then you also gave up George Hill. So like you lost both your guards who, are able to create offense. And not that Drew's not, he is, but he's gonna have to spend time off the court. Like I think that and you also got rid of Robin Lopez for Bobby Portis. And Bobby Portis has been good offensively, but you don't really need that on this team down low. Like you need a defensive player, and like Robin Lopez is better than Bobby Portis at defense. Not that either of them are good, but better. Like I still think it would have been a better fit. Like they made changes that don't necessarily fix their team. And so I think that they need to alleviate some of the offensive burden on Giannis because it's clear if he's the only one dribbling the ball and trying to create offense, it's not going to win games. Like they need to start letting Drew or Chris Middleton, who I don't necessarily think are these offensive masterminds who are defenses, and kind of open things up for Giannis. But I think you need to start using them more as ball handlers and let Giannis play off ball. And it's a weird thing to do when you have arguably the best player in the league on your team to like really kind of subject him to that usage. But if you're not going to do that, you're not going to beat these teams. It's so clear that the way that they're playing with Giannis right now, with the pieces around him, it's not going to work. Like they are not going to be able to beat these good teams.
I think Chris Middleton's been using the ball with it. Like I think they were using him as a ball handler last year. I'm sure they're doing it again this year. It might it's so hard to make judgments on these teams, especially in the first 15 to 20 games, because they're just like trying to move through sets, and it's just like hard to.
I'm going to go ahead and judge the Bucks real quick because I've never once I don't fear the deer, Matt. I know. I say it every week.
I know. I hear it a lot,
and I've said this for years also. Well, it's any sort of like Harden in the playoffs, like on Houston, but it's like where with Giannis, it's like it'll work in the regular season, but I feel like if you're playing him in a 7-game series, the way to stop Giannis is pretty well documented at this point, and unless like the other players really up their game or something, or just get extremely hot from deep.
This is controversial.
Bucks are a bunch of frauds. They're frauds.
Is controversial.
Throw them in the garbage.
When is the last time Giannis got better? Actually, though, like when is the last time he got better and like kind of evolved his game or adapted it a little bit?
Okay, he hasn't evolved his game, but he's more efficient in what he does.
I guess, but the last two
he's gotten more jacked.
That's the thing. The last two postseasons, he's gone out in the exact same way. Like, aren't you supposed to learn from your mistakes? And he's doing the same thing again this season. Like nothing has changed.
He hasn't shot well.
That's like he's literally, and also the free throw percentage. My lord.
Yeah, he's shooting 58% from three. 58%.
He's just not fixing the things he needs to fix. And like obviously he's still great, but what am I missing here? Like why we are so critical on so many players to have to evolve their games and get better at this, that, the other thing, and he's just not doing it. Like he literally has been the same player the last 3 years.
I'm not the first one to make this point, but people have compared him to like if he played like the Davis to Giannis comparisons, where it's like like if he found like a ball dominant sort of like star to team up with. Like if you compare like Davis and
Jimmy
New
Butler.
Orleans, that'd be cool. I'd love that. I would love Giannis on the Heat. It would be sick. But like, I mean, just
what?
Well, yeah, it's like Giannis is like the ball handler. You build a wall.
Well, that's what I forget who said it.
I've said it for 4
who
years.
said it first, but they said like he needs to be the Shaq who's still dominant in his own right to another Kobe who's going to be able to just go create offense and like just kind of lurk in the background a little bit, still dominate. But yeah, I agree.
Bro, Chris Middleton.
Weird team.
Chris Middleton's garbage.
I mean, did you see Middleton play the Nets? And I want to get to the Nets in a minute, but
no, did he cook them?
no.
Or,
I mean, it was a close game. They
lost
a very close game, but the last few possessions, Middleton is just chucking up garbage shots.
Didn't he have like 40
shots.
points?
Yeah, he had a good game, but down the stretch, like this is kind of my point of having that another guy that you can give the ball to and like really rely on them to actually go score and create offense. Because when you give it to Giannis down the stretch, like, can you count on him? No, probably not. Like they're going to do whatever. They're going to sag to the middle of the paint defending him, and then he's going to shoot like a desperation three that's not going to go in. You need someone else who's going to go do it.
Jimmy Butler.
But he's not going anywhere. He's fine in Miami with his coffee business and whatever. Like he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
All
right.
Don't
now that
belittle
we're talking
him.
about the top of the East, can we talk about the Sixers and the fact that Joel Embiid's going to win MVP?
Probably, but I don't think he's going to end up holding on. I also think like LeBron not being talked about in the MVP race again is just a crime. It makes no sense to me.
Always is, baby. But he's also like not. He's like coasting for 3 quarters, and he'll try maybe. In
but
the
he's
fourth
still
quarter
putting up crazy numbers, and like,
he's sick.
yeah, exactly. And I think they're the best team in the league, and he's doing all this. Like he's clearly.
And I guess, yeah, we'll elaborate on Embiid too, but LeBron's impact is crazy. Like you said, he'll coast for like 3 quarters, but the second you need him, he just changes everything. Like no one could really stop him in that Bucks game. That was the one I watched. I didn't watch last night, but
anyway, Luke, getting back to Embiid, yeah, he's putting up crazy numbers, and I still think he could. This gets back to an episode I forget when we did it over the summer, but he could be doing more if they traded for James Harden. He would be putting up even better numbers. They missed out when they didn't make that trade.
He's putting in. Embiid's putting in 28, 11.5, and 3 with 1.5 steals and 1.5 blocks a game.
So I have a question.
And efficient.
And he's only fouling twice a game.
I have not watched any Sixers games really. What changed?
I love watching the Sixers.
Just
they have some more shooting around
coaching.
Coaching. Yeah, but
I think the way they like Ben Simmons is no longer a point guard. They're not using him as a point guard, really. They use him as more like a traditional point guard. He brings the ball up the court, and then he like passes it to someone else, and then he stands down in the paint because he can't do anything else. And then they just run offense through Embiid. It's just like pick and rolls with Simmons on the weak side.
And are they having trouble? Like, is the 3-point shooting why Embiid is doing so well that he has the option to kick out if he needs to? And
yeah, I think just the way they use him. I think they're getting him a lot of like really high percentage mid-range shots. He's not necessarily like shooting threes unless he's in like an isolation situation or like short clock or something like that. But they're getting him like shots between like 10 to 15 feet in like a pick and roll situation. It's like short roll. You move him onto the wing. If he doesn't have a shot, he posts up and he gets a bucket. And like that's what like he's a dominant big man scorer.
Yeah, but that's why I think. If they had made that Harden trade similar to what Giannis does and how he kind of needs that more ball dominant, aggressive player who can score, like I think Embiid would seriously have benefited from getting Harden on that team.
But I think Harden would have taken away from Embiid actually because Harden's like, give me the ball. I need the ball. I'm gonna score. I'm gonna make the play. But here right now, it's Embiid makes the play, and when Embiid can't make a play, then one of your other good players is gonna make it. But I mean, basically what they do is they run pick and roll with Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. And then Ben Simmons cleans it up, and that's how they run their offense. But in all
fairness, like looking at the way that the Nets are using Harden, and we'll get into that trade and just kind of what we think about it as a whole.
Nah, they're gross.
They are gross. They can't play defense, but they don't have a center because DeAndre Jordan is just like a weird skeleton of what he once was, and it's just like bad. But Harden is passing a lot more, and he seems to be comfortable like allowing Kyrie and Durant to go do their thing, which I think we're all afraid of. And maybe it's just a honeymoon phase where he's just trying to fit in and it's going to get ugly. But I do think that in the same way he's doing that there, he would have been very comfortable adapting to what Doc and the Sixers wanted to do. And I mean, I guess he would have had Daryl Morey there who might have tried to like meddle and let Harden do what he did in Houston too. But I still think it would have been a similar situation where he'd go in because he was leaving to win.
I still see it. Go, Mike.
think that it speaks volumes that they weren't willing to give away Simmons, the Sixers, and Simmons' apparent reaction that he was so relieved he didn't get traded and he really believes in what the Sixers have going on. I think there is something going on there. And I'm also happy for Doc. I feel like he just had a rough, obviously with the way the Clippers went out of the bubble, is just people questioning his skill at coaching. And I think he
he sucks.
And I mean, in all fairness, too, the Sixers, it's not like it was just Ben Simmons for Harden. It was Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, the rookie, who's actually been kind of good. And then 3 first-round picks, too. That's a lot to give up.
I think the Sixers are actually well-built for a few things. Luke already brought it up that if Harden came in, he'd be looking for more shots. Like, by way of Ben Simmons not even being able to shoot means that he's not going to take shots away from Embiid that much. Embiid knows that he can run the show. So I feel like the roles are well established. And then as far as like defensive matchups against the Nets, if you project if that's hopefully where it's going to wind up, they can handle the Nets pretty well, and no one can handle them on.
I mean, no one's going to, and I think that's a good way to transition to looking at the Nets and the Harden trade as a whole and just how it affected those 4 teams. But the Nets, realistically now, I think everyone would probably say is the team to beat the East just because they have those 3. Like they are. All right, I know you're giving it thumbs down.
I agree with Mike here.
I think
it's still the Sixers. Like I put the Sixers and the Bucks above the Nets until the Nets can like.
But they're going to get a center on the buyout market. Like they will do things. They still have 3 roster spots to take on extra players. Like I think that they're going to fill their depth a little bit.
Can we talk about the fact that James Harden is a hero? All right, James Harden was a shitty person, and he demanded a trade. And Karis LeVert found out that he might have cancer, and James Harden, by being a bad person, might have saved Karis LeVert's life. What is the latest on
I just want to say, have they come out and said anything?
I don't know.
They found a growth on his kidney or something like that, which is like terrifying.
But
Google it.
It could have saved Karis LeVert's life. James Harden hating the Rockets, might have saved Karis LeVert's life.
I thought the deal. This is like a cold way to look at it, but it's just.
You cut out.
Mike, you're gone. Dude, we can't hear you. You're gone.
Oh, wait. My grandma called. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Nana called.
Up on her. Jesus
I don't know
Christ.
what my grandma means. But...
Did she ask for me?
Go away, Mark. No.
Did she say anything about me? Well, no, we've been,
no.
We'll get into it towards the end.
Wait, why did Nana call?
I don't know. She probably needs like help locking into her.
Well, it's about the chandelier.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we were just chandelier.
Different grandma, but
we have two
same
grandmas, Mark.
Yeah.
And they're both single.
No, Pop-Pop's still kicking it.
Really?
Yeah.
Only. Okay. Because it's sort of like that thing where you bring 2 dates to the prom, and then you tell one you're going to go to the bathroom, and then you run over to hang out with the
It's
other.
one of those classics.
You know. I mean,
I've done that so many times, Mark. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've done that with several grandma honors over the years. It's been a whole.
Stop it.
Hey,
it doesn't happen at prom. It happens at grandparents' day at the school. You know, you run across the auditorium.
Grandparents' day, yeah, where everyone brings their grandma into school.
Mark's
I love that day.
Perusing at grandparents' day.
Oh, I've got it circled on my calendar every year. I still go back to the high school and check it out. You know.
All right, so let's talk about how the Nets are trash and lost to the Cavs twice.
They did lose to the Cavs twice. That said, let's lay out. I'm going to lay out the trade as a whole. The Nets got Harden, but they had to give up LeVert, Jared Allen, Kurucs, and Taurean Prince, and 3 first rounders and 4 pick swaps. That is a lot. Like they gave up so much to get James Harden.
The Nets haven't owned their first round pick from like 2010 to 2029.
I think they've had
the one pick they did own, they traded.
I think it was one. It was Jared Allen.
Jared Allen, and they traded him.
As far as the trade as a whole, I think the team that clearly won the trade it has to be the Cavs. They gave up a late.
Nothing.
They gave up
a
heavily
nothing.
protected first round pick to get Jared Allen, who's a good young center who can realistically now, when they move on from Drummond, just stay with Sexland and Okoro, who looks kind of good.
Also, another Cavs trade. Kevin Porter Jr. got traded for a top 55 protected second
well, because
round
apparently
pick.
he had like an outburst at practice, and they were just done.
Yeah, no,
I heard that
did. Yeah.
Well, he threw food, which was similar to when J.R.
Soup.
Smith threw
Yeah, I
that
remember the
soup.
soup incident.
There's another food-related throwing thing
Yeah,
with Kevin Porter.
not good.
Yeah, no, he's crazy.
I want to see what
when did JR
food
throw
he threw,
soup?
actually. Sorry, keep
Oh,
going.
that was like a big thing, didn't he?
A couple
When
years
he
ago.
was on the
I think
Knicks.
at Ty
No,
Lue.
it was not when he was a Knick. He was
Was
a
it
Cavs.
He's on
Knicks?
the Cavs.
It was with the Cavs, yeah. I think he threw like split pea soup
I'm
at
not kidding. That
Ty
sounds
Lue or
right.
something.
He was like,
Hold on, J.R. Smith
Yeah.
soup.
he was like LeBron the coach anyway.
Pretty much.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
hold
weird.
on.
Like to throw soup at someone, I feel that's
I
it's
know.
worse
A little
than like
aggressive.
if you had think about it. If you had like an orange in your hand, I see that as more a throwable food.
All right, let's debate.
Well, there's a lot of
which
liquid.
Which food is the best food to throw?
Well, best in terms of
I was
like,
gonna
are
say,
you
am I
trying to
trying to
inflict the
hurt
most
someone?
damage or like emotional distress?
It's the easiest to throw,
Like
and
if I
it's demoralizing to be
The
hit
point
by
about
it. That's
the point about
like,
the cedar
yeah.
throw to me is like you're just going for chaos at that point. Like
right.
the soup is not contained to the bowl, so soup is gonna fly out of the bowl mid throw. It might get on you. It's gonna get on your enemy for sure.
Definitely. Well, also, what kind of bowl is it? Was it like a ceramic bowl or like a cardboard? You know, like
A to-go bowl?
like
I don't
a to-go bowl. Because a ceramic bowl is really, and also if it's hot, like then you can also inflict burns. In addition to like the cuts from the glass.
I actually did that one time. I was getting soup at one of the dining courts in college, and instead of pouring the soup into the bowl, I accidentally poured it like all over my wrist and hand. And I just like in the middle of the public dining court, I just had a moment where I was like, this just hurts, but I can't do anything.
You can't
about
scream.
It. And then I poured myself another bowl of soup.
Jeez.
Also, Zoom is giving us a
been there.
10-minute warning that we're gonna get cut off here. So
I love this shot clock in the back.
I really think I had like mono or something like that when I was doing it because I was like tripping off being sick. I was like, I can't function. I went to the dining court to get some soup and I just couldn't take it. So
Jesus, we didn't even need
I
JR
love
to throw
that.
soup at you. You just did it to yourself.
I did it to myself. I was like, let's soup it up. Soup time, baby. Let's get it. I don't remember what type of soup it was, but I'm pretty sure it was thick. I'm pretty sure it was like a chowder.
Oh my God.
So
yeah,
it really just didn't feel good.
He threw it at Damon Jones, who's an assistant coach
That's
on the
good.
Cavs.
Do you have a motive?
Hold on. I'm reading this Ringer article, and I can't tell if they're writing like fanfic about this. With the Ringer, I don't know if they're reporting or trying to be funny, but either way, the Ringer sucks.
If you read the Ringer or Barstool Sports, I don't respect you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Take.
That's a good take.
And if you are apparently working at Vans, that we now have a list, or our Chris Webber.
Yeah.
The Ringer sucks.
All right, so let me release this. Actually, can we change our Twitter header to like people we're boycotting?
Sure. Yeah. So the Ringer, Barstool,
Chris Webber,
and
Vans,
and the other Vans account who never responded to me.
Yeah, no, them too. You know, it's messed up that we mentioned you on our post, and we're a high-profile podcast, and you just don't respond to us.
I know. Pretty messed up.
Trying to put them in the spotlight here, and they
don't want it. Also, Michael, you were saying. Also, another quick question. Do you go by Mike or Michael?
Pretty much Mike to everybody. He's the only one.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a
Michael.
Interesting, because I've been throwing Michael around.
Do you want to know why? I think the reason we do that is because
it's probably me. I say Michael just because, like, for some reason, our family, it just always was Matthew and Michael. And, like, if I say Mike, it sounds weird.
Oddly enough.
It feels weird coming out of my mouth.
Oddly enough, a lot of my college friends call him Matthew by the product of me strictly calling him Matthew. It's bizarre.
Oh, no, so you don't shorten his either. I've never called Matt Matthew once.
Yes. No,
I mean, like,
I don't
in earnest.
I wouldn't like you calling me Matthew, I don't think. I think that stresses me out.
I hear you refer to yourself as Matthew. Like, we'll be playing 2K.
When I'm mad, I do the Tiger Woods thing where, like, I just call myself my first name under my breath. Matthew.
Matthew has this latest thing. Matthew got a Switch for Christmas. So we've been playing, like, the old Super Mario. So we were playing Mario 64. And whenever Mario does something bad, like falls off a platform or something, Matthew does the "Come on, Tiger," but to Mario, he'll go, "Come on, Mario."
Come on. It's not that hard to jump.
It's out of control. Out of control.
Yeah,
Aren't
he's
you
a loser,
controlling
though.
Mario?
He just can't walk straight.
Come on, Mario. He does that. That's
Yeah. So in less than a month, I've
Can we
beaten
talk about
Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. So we're turning our attention.
Well, now you're calling it Mario and not even Mario.
Mario?
Because there's a
Whatever.
little switch that you code
Whatever.
switched in the middle of that.
It's Mario.
Can we?
So it's interchangeable.
Can we talk about your favorite holiday gift when I sent you the Hoop Troop podcast shirts? We now have merchandise.
Sure.
Is that true?
Anybody who wants merch, please email us
Mark, you
at
gotta
the
give me your
Hoop Troop
address.
podcast at gmail.
I'll email that account right now.
If anyone wants a shirt,
Yeah, I sent them a whole
go
bunch of
grab
shirts.
the
I told them to
go
give
get-
you
go get
one.
the shirt. We'll show it off.
Yeah,
But
please do.
we have some shirts in a few sizes. So if anyone wants a shirt,
Do you have a child
we have a small and it's pretty small.
I think we do.
Medium fits me. I'm a
Perfect.
hefty.
Oh, isn't the shirt lucky too? Don't you wear it during the
one
Knicks
game
games?
and they beat someone good. They beat the Celtics by 30. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it was no Tatum.
I don't care.
So. Oh, wait. Can we talk about how Jaylen Brown's
Go
better
for
than
it.
just
Go
Tatum
nuts.
now?
Sure.
Jaylen Brown has improved, and he can dribble the ball, and that makes him better than Jason Tatum now.
Has been
because
out,
he plays really good defense.
Celtics are frauds.
Because Tatum's been out, you're forgetting how good he is.
What? Maybe, but
he's
Jaylen Brown's
an all-star for sure.
unreal right now.
Here's our shirt. Our little hoop troop
Wow.
logo there.
It's fresh.
PhD.
Look at that logo.
The Talon
I
Horton
know.
Tucker
It's
podcast.
nice.
what a year for Taylor Horton Tucker to become a thing, and everyone calling him PhD.
Oh,
Then that's the
unreal
back.
for us.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is in size
Hell
large.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I've been meaning to bulk up so I can take that bad boy and have it, and I'll
the
grow
merch.
into it.
I know. I gotta.
Hey. Yeah, so we got some merch now. You know, we're trying to get our name out there.
See,
Trying to get noticed.
I should have worn that when we all went to storm
Oh
the
my
Capitol.
god!
And then because we're caught on.
Oh, were you there?
All four? Yeah,
Were you there?
Of course.
What'd you take from the Capitol building?
I don't.
Did you make a phone call on Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, that was Mark.
I was the guy
that
in
was
his
Mark.
office
Tough to
in our
recognize
office.
the
Yeah.
angles, but
I was the guy who
You were
changed
like,
himself
hello,
in the
base-
balls and
this
died.
is somehow gonna get Mark like a call from the
which is
FBI.
my
You
hero.
just know it. Somehow.
They have an open
Yeah.
file on me over the years. They've they know all.
Hey,
about me.
look, I'm really far away from the Capitol, so it's like
People cross.
Well, you were-
lines,
got
Luke.
there.
You're not
You were in that
safe.
autonomous zone in Capitol Hill in
I was at work that day.
An alibi.
I
stopped
clocked into work.
working.
So
For anyone at my company listening, I did no work that day. I was just staring at the TV because it kept getting more and more ridiculous as it was going. But I don't want to turn this into like the Capitol storming podcast. But yeah, just
we
whatever.
could rebrand. We make t-shirts for
Yeah.
for the
So
new
anyway,
pod.
I
Sure.
don't know how we got onto that topic
Because we are, remember, Mark, we're kind of setting the framework for becoming a military podcast.
That's right. Support our hoop troops.
Yes.
oh,
Go boys in blue.
so now we're
We're
a militia
No,
that storms the Capitol.
Oh no.
Well, we're gonna be like the Ben Shapiro's of the NBA. You
Yes.
know, or we take like a really cool alt-right stance about like.
You just let me tell you about these facts, Mark.
please.
Oh no.
All right, facts. Straight facts. Tim texted me yesterday and tried trading me Kobe White for Mikael Bridges.
Wait,
That's
Tim-
such a
Tim has
classic
sent us
Snake
screenshots
Tim
of
move.
trades
Kobe
he's
White?
received. I think no.
Pat
Maybe?
Crowley does.
Oh.
Maybe Tim executed a trade with that.
No.
Shop him.
Maybe it was
makes
Pat who
bad
texted me.
trades.
I don't have anybody's number saved.
Yeah, okay. Then
Whoever
that
has
was
Kobe
not
White
Tim.
in the
That's
league right
bad.
now was the
That's
one who
just bad,
texted me.
yeah.
Although I do like to think Tim is bad at making
Who?
trades.
Yeah. So
when Tim listens to this, there's some slander
course.
for him.
Michael
the
Mike,
square
if I
switched
may.
and it kind of
The
bugs
square.
me.
The what?
The square switched. You know, Mike and Matt used to be up here,
Really?
and now they're down there.
You guys have been holding constant on my end.
Anyway,
Mike, to answer your question on what I've
Yeah,
been
like-
doing in the nothing.
Come on. That
No.
can't be true. There's got to be something.
Nothing. So I was in New York. I was in the city in my apartment for like the first month when New York was like a blistering hellscape of death. And also like I was in Lenox Hill and there's like that hospital right there. So I would just hear the siren. And my roommate wasn't. I was just like truly solo alone for like a month straight. It was great. I was pretty healthy. so then I came back home. I was there because I'm like, who knows? Like, everyone was like, yeah, all right, 2 weeks off, and then whatever. Like when that was the like rhetoric around it at that time. Then I came home for like 6 months, like April through September. Then went back to do some we had to shoot different things for work with a camera, not a gun.
I was concerned.
And yeah, and then also my lease ran up at the end of November, so my roommate and I moved apartments, so wanted to get all that straightened away pretty much. And then I've been back at home since Thanksgiving, and I imagine
nice.
I'll probably go back next month. Yeah, as things get hopefully better. I don't know.
What are you doing for work right now?
Oh, I do marketing for a carpet empire.
Yep.
That's cool.
It's not. Thanks for lying. It's well, I'll go on a tangent about this at the end so I can chop it off just because I don't want it on the internet for what I'm about to say. But yeah. Also, and Mike, you moved apartments. You finally ditched Hoboken.
Yeah. So I'm now in the financial district. Got that. I'm kind of doing what you're doing. It's kind of holding on to the optimism that things are gonna come back to normal, which I do. I actually, I do think it will. I feel pretty solid. I hope.
Hey,
nice, man.
Summer 2022. Am I right?
What'd you say?
It's gonna be lit.
Summer 2022.
But I think there's gonna be your normal life while being safe and wearing the mask and whatever. I don't care about going back to work. That's not the thing, but we'll see. Yeah.
Is your office in the city? Okay, yeah. Interesting. One bed or a studio?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a one.
The one bed's the way to go.
Bed.
The studio does not work.
Well, but I'm in New York. It's
and I kind of just went to the early play with rent because I was looking in December. The rent was you're really not going to see it. I'm not paying much more than Hoboken, so I just went for it, and I'm just kind of and I honestly think
that's what I did.
I'm just gonna live and die by the decision. Just I made the decision. I'm just gonna roll with it and make the best of it. And so it's good. It's good.
Sure.
It's nice. It's nice to be out there though.
There's still a lot of people there.
The city is cool.
Everyone wears a mask. I'm proud of New York when I see people walking around and everybody's being smart. So
safe.
You should come down to Brooklyn and see where no one's
wearing
it.
Really?
It's just an absolute hellscape. No, not that no one's wearing it, but it's way less. There's way less compliance than in
that because
Manhattan.
Is there more? I have no clue. Is there more space in Brooklyn, or do people?
Well, yeah, but geographically, by population size, there's more people in Brooklyn than in Manhattan. But it's just it covers a larger area of land. Well, so it's less densely populated. No, I don't know why there's less compliance. But
maybe we can meet up in the middle of the Brooklyn Bridge outside and just say,
hell yeah, just in passing on opposite sides. And it's sort of where I kind of side eye you, and I'm like, is that Mike or Michael? What does he go by these days? And then I'm like, well, I don't want to call him the wrong thing. I think it's
legitimately whatever title you want to call me.
That doesn't work for me. Just tell me what to do. Just be set a line in the sand and be like, if you cross this line, we're gonna have a problem. In terms of
if you put it that way,
your
call
name,
me Mike.
and I'll abide by it.
Yeah.
Call me Mike.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Mike.
Okay. I'm getting us back to back.
Matt's like, fuck this. Let's talk about the Cavs.
Well, I live in New Jersey with my parents,
Luke,
so I don't have the fun apartment lifestyle you guys have.
I was gonna talk about how Kelly Oubre's dogs got stolen, and now he's being extorted for $3 million.
Oh no!
Did you not see that? Did you not see this?
No, I'm googling it right now.
That's why he's been so bad this year.
All right, we have to get to San Francisco and get them back for our boy Kelly.
His ex-girlfriend stole his dogs, made threatening posts on Instagram, and said, "Pay me $3 million."
Oh, that was a year ago.
Yeah, it was, and now he's going through the court case, and that's why it's in the news.
Oh my god!
Hell
that's insane.
That's why he's been so bad, because it's hard to go through all that, and that's why the Warriors have not been as good as they have could be, because their best player, Kelly Oubre Jr., is separated from he had a long separation from his pets, and it took a lot out of him.
That I had a fight about this with other friends. The Warriors say Clay doesn't hurt his Achilles.
They're still
Okay,
trash.
you're kind of getting to the point I'm going to make. Are they
Draymond's
a legitimate finals contender? And my answer is no, they're not, because they're a playoff team.
They're a playoff team.
Maybe like they, I'd say at most the 3 seed at best, but they're not a legitimate threat to win. Like, I think there's still a whole other tier above where they would even be. I think they're kind of in the Nuggets, Jazz, Suns range. Like, I don't think they're better than that. Like, I don't even think they'd get out of the West, let alone win the championship. And I was getting into a fight about this, and then everyone was...
Who'd you get into a fight?
So, my friend Nick is a Warriors fan, so he's... Yeah,
friend,
just a distant acquaintance.
My friend Nick.
But he's a Warriors fan, so he's obviously biased. And then the aforementioned Tim, Tim's just a huge loser. But they were arguing that with Clay, this team is immediately like a finals contender again, which I just think is insane. We haven't seen them really play together, Durantless play together since 16, whatever it was.
Yeah, but Nick argued when Durant went down in the playoffs in 2019 that was what they do.
Do you really think? And then I guess we got into that argument about the supporting cast they had then versus now. Like, I don't think this team would be anything tremendously special. I don't. So Kelly Oubre, dogs or no dogs, like, he's not making that impact on this team that people thought he was going to have. And maybe, suddenly I'm aware that he's going through some sort of personal crisis, and that's why he's bad. But yeah,
he really is.
Every time he tries to take a three, he just thinks about those dogs.
I was just looking at them.
Bricks it off the side of the backboard.
French bulldogs. So no wonder he can't hit a three.
French bulldogs. It's really.
Oh, I'd be a mess if my dogs were stolen and being. At
least they were stolen by his ex-girlfriend, though. Because it's like, if I would rather strangers stealing your dogs, you're never going to get those dogs back.
Plus those dogs' innocence might be gone by that point, right? Like, at least these dogs know the person, and the person cares about them a little bit, right? Like, if a stranger stole my dog, I don't want to know what the stranger did to my dog.
It'd be a John Wick scenario.
They wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Has she done?
So you go Taken there? You don't go John Wick there? You go Taken? The film about a man who...
No, I want to, because I know...
You've never seen the John Wick?
So, like, that is a huge selling point.
Does John Wick... You should watch it, because I don't know. Does John Wick have something taken from him? I've never seen...
He has a dog taken from him.
These are
John Wick had a very beautiful wife that he loved very much, and this wife gifted him a dog,
beautiful hound,
and some mobsters took that dog away from him.
Also, the wife died. We have to point out that the wife, prior to the mom's dog.
So the dog was the only thing left, the only reminder he had of his wife, and then the mob said, "We don't care about your dog." And John Wick said, "I'm the greatest assassin of all time."
Are you guys?
And then he kills everybody in the mob.
Yeah, so basically Kelly Oubre should be doing this right now.
It's an epic movie. You should watch the movie just to see how amazing John Wick is. I mean, some of these kills it's unbelievable. He really is the greatest assassin of all time. Yes, it's like the continuing storyline of having to take out the mob.
It also, like, all the movies are like taking place within like a week of each other, so I don't think the latter two are as focused on the dogs, but like, that is the inciting incident of the first film.
So he starts killing one mob, and then he kills that first mob, and the other mob's like, "You can't just kill that mob," and then he kills that.
So I guess I'll get that.
Sir.
It's crazy.
We have to pivot into a movie recap.
I know he gets like beat up in the library.
Good. Boban is
one of the assassins sent to try and kill him.
Yeah. So there's a whole league of assassins in New York City. It all takes place in New York. And he tries to kill him for money. Instead,
That's a shame. Boban rocks.
Boban gets done.
Yeah, I can't trust John Wick if he'd take out Boban.
But
he's good in the film.
The Boban scene's pretty sick.
It's like,
they have a good battle.
In a library.
Boban puts up a good fight.
But no, I can't trust anyone who killed Boban. I'd probably go the Liam Neeson route instead. Take out my dog captor that way. But
it's pretty much
what's the line?
thing.
Like, I don't know who you are, but I will find you, and I will kill you. Is that what he says?
I would love to just give you a list of movies, Luke, for you to reenact in the
Hey,
same like. And
can
then
we do
he's
that?
like,
Can we
and
do
then
that
I'm
one of the
like,
podcasts?
Yeah.
Can one of our segments be like a
Sure.
5-minute
Just Luke.
movie
Luke does
reenactment?
all the parts.
All right, let's start with Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah, no, so Mark, send me a movie before, like send me a movie like a couple of days before we record a new episode.
I'm thinking
I'll watch it and then I'll
right.
reenact it for 5 minutes on the pod.
All right, a little indie called The Passion of the Christ. This is, I think, a very good starting ground, a very fertile ground for which we can build upon. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely cleaned up. Oh yeah.
I mean, I think you guys are gonna cry at my performance.
Probably.
It's gonna be so beautiful.
But all right, I want to get back to this Harden trade because that was what I set out to talk about here. Yeah, we've clearly just
that was a minute ago.
But all right, so I know that we kind of went over like Karis LeVert to the Pacers. Good, I think that's better than Oladipo. But I think we need to focus on a little bit of what the Nets did because they stripped depth. They don't have centers who are worth playing. And so kind of how you guys were saying you don't think they're the team to beat. I think that there are things they could do and probably will do to kind of beef that up just a little bit. And then they probably are. Their defense is still going to be bad, but it's not going to be as god-awful as it is because they are getting pummeled by the Cavs who are terrible. But I still think all things considered, they're the team to beat. How do you shut down? It's team to beat in the East? I'll clarify. The Lakers are still the best team in the league, but I still think that offensive firepower when Kyrie isn't going AWOL and they're practicing and figuring something out, I think they're going to be pretty damn good. We're only a third of the way into the season. Like they have so much time to figure out how to actually play together and what works and fill in some bench trash behind DeAndre Jordan. Like I think
watching the Nets play, I can already tell you they're going to have attitude issues. James Harden gets frustrated. Like anytime the other team scores, which is like every possession, James Harden gets frustrated. I've seen James Harden just like have bad body language several times already. And James Harden also takes every late clock shot is right now it goes to James Harden.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kyrie likes that.
I don't blame the Nets for doing what they did. I think any team that had this opportunity should probably do it. I don't blame them. And they're going to be good. Like they're clearly going to make the Eastern Conference final, I think. It's a matter of how they get there. The thing I said when my grandma called and you guys couldn't hear me was, wouldn't the deal be off? Like, didn't they all have to pass physicals? Like,
yeah, they had to pony up more. Either another pick or more cash. I don't remember, but
I don't know who gave the second rounder.
Basically, were they Pacers, like? I feel like the Pacers would be like, you guys just gave us a guy with a bad. He's a good guy and a good player with a bad kidney. Like we need, so they got something extra.
Well, I think the funniest part about this is probably Houston not taking on Karis LeVert instead of Oladipo, who you can make the case that
Oladipo's gone.
Karis LeVert with his price tag and the duration of his contract and age, all that, like the injury history, is more valuable to a team than Oladipo is, because it sounds like Oladipo probably isn't going to stay there after this year. Yeah, Tillman Fertitta did.
You understand the Rockets owner is broke,
it's just funny, like he punted, like he just did not want.
He's literally broke though. Like he can't afford.
He literally like
players. Like he's
owner broke.
I mean,
he's like
broke as in
he's like the Will Pond
rich guy.
Broke. He's bankrupt. He's bankrupt. He has a lot of debt. I mean, he could sell the Rockets for $1.5 billion and be okay, but he's bankrupt in the fact that like his assets currently.
So I think that's why they did it. And I think it's hilarious, but I still like, all things considered, and let me pull up exactly what they got because they did get a ton back. Like Oladipo is good, Exum's not, Kurucs is not. He's fine, I guess. But then they got 4 firsts. They got 3 Brooklyn first rounders, which Lord only knows how good they're going to end up being down the line if these guys don't opt in or re-sign. They got somehow, I don't know. But then they They also got
I think they got
they
that
got
from the net.
4 pick swaps that I think could potentially convey, depending on how they treat this. Because this year, for example, they have no incentive to tank. They don't have their first round pick. Like, you never know who they're going to end up being able to swap a pick with. Like, you never know if the Nets leave, if this team is bad. Like, if the Nets team ends up being bad and it ends up being like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade where, it didn't pay off. You never know. Like, I think it could work out. I think it's going to take too long to evaluate it. I think we'll definitely know if the Nets don't come out of this with at least 1, but probably 2 championships. It's almost a failure on their part.
The high bar. I mean, I feel like if
Worth
they
it.
get 1, it's like, it's worth
I
it.
guess. But I
Yeah.
think the thing is the timeline. If they don't do it, because all 3 of those guys have opt-outs after next season. If they don't do it, they're probably not going to do it this year, honestly. Like, I think it just takes too much time to build a roster around them and, like, develop a chemistry to be able to beat the best teams in the league. I don't think it'll happen this year. They have to win next year. Like, next year has to be the year they get a championship. Because if not, why would those guys not opt out? You're going to go get max money somewhere else.
And
You're going to
Spencer
go get
did
max
when
money
he comes
somewhere else,
back.
and you could
So
find a situation where you're better set to win. And if you don't win after 2 years with that cast, isn't the writing on the wall that you're not going to be able to win? Like, I think if you have 2 swings at this thing and can't do it, why would you stay? Like, I don't see why you wouldn't go see, all right, what is truly the best spot for me to go win a championship and go there?
I also don't think Kyrie thinks that way. I think he's pretty volatile. Like, he could just retire. Like, he could. Or he could leave and do something random. I don't know. So he's kind of a wild card. But the other 2, I see what you're saying. Like,
Quick note on Kyrie. He shaved his beard down. I feel like it used to be longer, and he looks a lot younger now.
he looks like an alcoholic to
Wow.
me. He looks like he's seen some shit.
Because of the beard length or anything else?
Yeah, it looks like he shaved this morning,
Mhm.
but like he's been at the bar all day and he's
Interesting.
like a little trashed and he's got his 5 o'clock
Interesting
shot
note.
going. So
but I do
Paints a
agree
picture.
that I don't think the Nets will win this year.
But that's the thing. Like, I think all these teams, the way you have to evaluate this trade is what does it do? So I think the Pacers didn't want to pay Oladipo. So they got a younger, arguably better, more affordable version of what Oladipo does in Karis LeVert if he ends up being okay. I think the Cavs made out like bandits getting Jared Allen for a protected first rounder. And then depending on how, the Rockets are going to be stuck with John Wall forever. And depending on what they do, like Christian Wood is obviously good. Like, maybe they start to compete a little bit and then these Nets picks convey. Like, they could end up being in a good spot. And that's why I think it's really on
The
what
Rockets
the
both
Nets are
compete.
able to do. And if they have the current roster they have now, they can't play defense and they're not going to be able to win. I think it's a question of what they're able to put around them to beef them up defensively. And then they have to win either this year or next year, or they're in trouble. I
mean, I would love to see a big team like the Sixers or the Lakers play this current Nets team in the playoffs, because I just like, how do you stop Embiid if you're the Nets right now?
It wouldn't. The Lakers or Sixers would absolutely blow out their back wall.
They would.
Like, let's be clear.
But it's gonna be like 130 to 120 in double overtime. Like, it's not gonna be an easy win.
No,
Yeah,
it's
like, it's
going
gonna
to
be a
score
high
after 3
scoring
quarters.
thing, and that's kind of an issue. Like, I don't know what the Lakers are scoring a game. It's probably decently high, but it's not as high powered as, like, the Nets scoring is very high powered.
I will say,
but I think if the Lakers wanted to, they could outscore anybody.
Well, I don't even know. Like, I mean, the Lakers, like, everyone other than AD and LeBron, like, those two are playing well, obviously, but like their supporting cast is playing out of their mind right now. Like, Caruso and KCP are both top 5 in 3-point percentage, like, thus far, which will never drop off, quite frankly.
Lakers are averaging 114 points per game.
Okay, what's that in relation to the league? Like, is that like 5th or something? What's the leaderboard?
8th.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, like, they're just better defensively than they are,
which is crazy.
Like, I'm more confident in that. I know. Well, it's also like, the supporting cast is just playing, like, Kuzma's playing super, super well too. Like, KCP is like amazing this year. He is a god. They've got Harold, they've got Gasol. Like, it'll be weird what that team looks like in the playoffs when they tighten up the rotations a little bit.
To see a team that responds so well to coexisting with LeBron. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people are good at it, and whenever the LeBron doc happens in like 15 years, we're going to find out that people hated him. I think know that already, but like I think it takes particular group of people and a particular mentality that's maybe set by the coach, by LeBron, by the other players to like listen to him. And if he yells at you, don't take it personally, but he's going to yell at you and all this. I don't know. So it seems like they're all dealing with that well.
I mean, when you're that amazing, you kind of have to take the reins and kind of shake the rest of your team into shape.
Everyone on that roster, I think they know what
I think people just
they know that they're not going to like. They're kind of checking their egos at the door because they're coming in and like Kuzma, obviously not the best player on the team. KCP not. Like none of these guys, other than Anthony Davis, would legitimately think, my opinion makes more sense than his. Like maybe Marc Gasol because he like is probably a Hall of Famer.
I also think LeBron probably does a good job of listening. I don't think LeBron just shoots you down, but I think LeBron would be like, I understand what you're saying. But...
Well, there were reports when, like, pre-AD, LeBron and the Lakers, like, being too mean to the young guys.
Yeah. Well, I think
and Rondo had to be like,
all of
stop
those
yelling
rumors, too. Like,
which I like.
All of that combining and LeBron just being like, you guys suck.
But,
like, I'm sure they wanted out. Like, I'm sure that was awful.
I guess it's like an argument. Like, you could be on a championship Lakers team, but Kuzma Kuzma has all the reason in the world to be like, fuck this. I could go score 20. Yeah, like exactly. I could
be the next Jeremy Grant,
25 and 12 every game, and just get paid and not have to be yelled at by LeBron.
25 on 12, 25 and 12 on like 50.
But then you're not going to get yelled at by anyone because
that's the Kuzma guarantee.
But that's kind of the point I'm making. Like, they don't have guys like that who are like, I want to get mine. Like, it's all about me. Like, they really don't have it. I think Davis is the closest thing they might have to cross that bridge at some point if LeBron doesn't decline, like we're kind of expecting him to, like over the course of their 2 tracks here. Like, and it doesn't fully become AD's team with like the side dish of LeBron. I think like all these other guys though, like they don't, what are they going to go do on other teams? Like you don't really have incentive to expand. Like I don't think Harrell, maybe Schroeder, maybe, but Schroeder's already had it because with the Hawks, he made a ton of money. Then he was playing a lot on the Thunder. Like I feel like at this point, it's winning a championship for him. Harrell is the only one where I'm like, okay, maybe after this season, he's going to want to go do that. But beyond that.
Yeah, but I think being on the Clippers exposed him to the ways of trying to win a championship where it's like Kawhi and Paul George were kind of like these guys who came in and were like, this is how we run things now. I think the fact that Harrell made a conscious decision to be on this Lakers team means he buys into LeBron being the boss.
A little bit.
He said as much in interviews.
Think about Kawhi's success.
Clippers are
fraud. On unbelievable Spurs teams that had Hall of Famers across the board with him. And like, granted, he was a huge part in them. I'm not saying he's not. Like, he put up good numbers, was a very important piece of winning that championship when he was there, and just the other success. Then he goes to an unbelievable situation in Toronto where that roster is fully loaded top to bottom. And they got super lucky that Clay and Durant got hurt in that finals. Like, they probably wouldn't have won there.
Yeah, but you have to remember they beat a good Sixers team, but obviously flawed. They beat a Celtics team, young, obviously.
Right. I'm saying,
they played good teams in the playoffs. Was it the hardest path
by the Durant Warriors?
I think to call him a fraud is tough because he had like one of the most prolific postseasons ever. He had scoring
but we celebrate it because they won. They wouldn't have won. Like they got very lucky because of those injuries.
But also, I want to make a point that anybody would have got smacked by the Durant Warriors.
Like heavily influenced. Oh, he has 2 championships and led the Raptors. He was very much a team component on the Spurs, the leader, but on a very balanced team in Toronto. Because Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Ibaka, Gasol, Pascal Siakam, Anunoby, like that team was good. Like top to bottom was that team. Top to bottom was very, very good.
And Siakam played really well.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, but fine. I still
Siakam
think
is another fraud, by the way.
But then you bring it now to the Clippers.
That year he was good.
What he's doing on the Clippers,
he just has no reason to hustle right now.
He's in fraud mode.
He is he's good enough to get you into the playoffs consistently. It's kind of like where he was at with the Spurs before he demanded a trade. Like they were good, but he wasn't taking them over the hump like I think a lot of people thought he would. Like this Clippers team last year and this year are both very good. And yeah, they have good records right now, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, before
Yeah.
before he got Zaza'd
Yeah.
by Zaza.
No, you're right. They were.
They were beating the Warriors. They were up like
it was
2
definitely
games to
close, but
1,
they were
weren't
up.
they, or something like that? They were up 1-0,
So
2-1, something like that.
I think you're right. Like, yeah, obviously
I think
there was potential, and like he is still a top 5 player in the NBA. I still think, as far as like everyone is giving him this, like he's the basically like a next iteration of LeBron, where he's just going to carry teams into the finals. Like, he's not. Like, I think
he's averaging 26, 6 and 6.
But I'm not saying he's not a good player. That's not my point. I think like the way we look at him as this like truly prolific, dominant team leader,
and
he's not.
And he's played back-to-backs. He's playing 35 minutes a game.
This year's a little different.
I'm kind of defending Kawhi.
No, I still think he's a top 5 player in the NBA. I'm not saying that.
In my opinion, I'd rather have Jimmy Butler than Kawhi.
What on earth is that, Luke? Sorry to cut.
Jimmy Butler. If I'm building a team, and I have to pick my first star,
I'm
right. I have to
writing
pick between Kawhi and Jimmy Butler. I'm picking Jimmy Butler, and that's just because I like the way Jimmy Butler plays. I think I can do more with Jimmy Butler than I can with Kawhi.
No, you can't.
What is the Heat record right now? The Heat are bad.
I'm writing this down.
Jimmy Butler's not playing right now. Jimmy Butler's on my fantasy team. He's been out for like 5 games.
Luke, we did a top 10 players in the NBA.
January 24th.
Didn't have Jimmy Butler.
Luke says Jimmy Butler.
I'm not talking about individual contributors. Kawhi's a better player than Jimmy Butler. I'm building a franchise right now. I'd rather have Jimmy Butler.
This is like when Phil Jackson, like 8 years ago, was like, if I had to build a franchise, I'm taking Dwight Howard.
On a serious note, would you take, like, if you had
another cool Phil
would Jokic be in your conversation?
I think Jimmy,
if you were starting a franchise, or no?
Yeah. It's Luka.
If I had to start a franchise and I had to pick up any player in the league.
But are you saying is
Luka?
I mean, is
but if I had to play
top 5 to
yes.
to think about?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Like, am I building a franchise?
It's your franchise
for the next 10 years, or am I just trying to compete for 1 year? If I had to win right now, then you're picking the best player under 23,
I think if you're considering building a franchise, like, it's got to be Luka. I would absolutely still put Giannis in there because he's going to be good for another 10 years. Jokic, Tatum, honestly, Zion. Not that he's been great, but I think the potential's there. The potential's there.
I'd 100%.
Like, that's what
I'd 100% think about a Jaylen Brown.
You're doing like the fantasy draft of like, we're building a franchise for the next few years.
Bam
like,
Adebayo.
I think that's kind of who you have to consider. Like, I don't think you're going to take LeBron off the board that early. If your goal is to win a championship in the next 3 years, I'm taking LeBron. But like,
I had this crazy idea. Where, like, so I do all this coding, and I think one of the side projects I want to do is I want to build a application where you can do a draft of real players and do like a fantasy season, like the same way you do fantasy basketball, but it's like the CPU's controlling 29 other teams and you compete for the championship year after year.
I'll do that in 2K.
Agency market
in 2K.
Yeah, but 2K sucks,
nice.
And I'm going to build it better.
Better. Squarespace, baby. Yeah, if we get them as a podcast. But
yeah,
I was gonna say, should we?
We've been chopping it up.
Well, we're at 66 minutes. We've been chopping. Also, Mike, I almost called you Michael. I am. You're laying down some fat tracks this afternoon.
This is actually
any intro to the pod, or just bluegrass.
Totally gonna make music for the pod, like the intro. What do we want it to? What's the theme you're going for? Like, what are we thinking? Like, do you want me to make it? Because I can through the Logic, make it like a full band. You can make it into like a full bandy type of thing, or it can be mellow. I don't know what we're looking for. So just have a think.
Oof.
Okay.
Do something groovy. I want like a Seinfeld opening.
To my apartment,
like a bass, like that, like a fat bass line. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah, a real fat bassy. Maybe just bass, honestly. Like no other instrument whatsoever, and it's just.
I do this
I've been
Seinfeld.
binging Curb.
I don't know if you've seen Curb. Curb's got a good intro.
Sure.
Right.
Always Sunny has a good
There-
one, like the you know.
Those sound
nearly
both
have
of those are a
bass,
bit more
so
like
I
orchestral,
will,
almost. I want to say, yeah. I'd say, or just like multi-track, it'd have like 6 or 7
I already have a
basses
couple
going,
ideas.
and
I
it's
have a
just
couple
an
ideas.
absolute bass explosion, and people's headphones.
All right.
Yeah. All right, that's music to my ears.
Yeah.
I want to basically create like an
That's it.
unlistenable cacophony of bass, and that would have people. It's breaking their AirPods, and then
Right.
they turn it off. But we
And the
like
Ferris
any
Bueller,
press
just
is
like
good press,
every once in
and
a
I
while,
think
like,
like if we broke people's
in
headphones
there with the
definitely.
crazy bass.
All right. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Yes, I like that. Also, one more thing, real quick, Matt. Did you go to
so
a
I had much
barber,
longer
or
hair
is this
before,
just like
and
something of your own?
I had to get a cut just for like kind of professional reasons, but I look like a mushroom now. Like it just doesn't sit right. So if anyone's watching the video clips of this, it's not good.
Like the head of a penis.
Yeah. I went to
But hold on, to answer my question,
stylist.
how did you cut it?
I'm not now that my hair's longer. Yeah. Oh, I did. Yeah. No.
There was a
Paid
transaction
someone.
involved.
They did like the shampoo and conditioner. That was kind of fun.
They signed
And
off on that.
Now,
Well, if
It always
I
feels
guess
good.
if you paid American dollars for this, why wouldn't you just cut it like shorter or more in line with
I
what your
just
hair
think
looked like
this
pre-pandemic?
And this is also like bedhead too. I didn't overly try today, which I regret now. But yeah, no, I don't know. I definitely it's more fun long. And like I looked weird with it short too. I guess I just look weird. But oh, Mark, please stop staring at me like this. No, yeah. So it's a bad. It's one bad haircut. It's fine. We'll get through.
All right.
No, Mark, I'm not buzzing it.
Buzz it. I
It grows back.
Buzz
Yeah.
it. I regretted that so immediately. It was.
I'm thinking about buzzing it.
I think it just my hairline was at the point where it couldn't handle it because it's too. My temples, it's too receded. That like the buzz gave me that like, or I'll have like in like 3 years like the Jude Law Peninsula of hair,
Mark,
where it's like like because I've got the widow's peak.
Mine is pretty
so
bad.
It's like I'm gonna be
Mike, stop checking your.
The Great Recession.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. It's the recession. It hit us all hard. It's brutal. We thought that the economy was coming roaring back, but it's still receding.
It doesn't get any better from here. Right?
It's only getting
chilling,
more. I mean,
actually.
Matt,
My
how are you
hair's-
looking
my
up
hair's
there? Because
fine.
you've got
Even if I
like
pull
how's
it
that
back.
hairline treating you? But what's the hairline?
Mark,
okay,
look at that.
yeah, you're right.
The Great.
All right.
The Great.
Yeah. See, no, yeah, mine is too.
The Great
Why is my
Recession.
head so
Doing a
shiny?
hairline
That's what I don't get.
check.
The Baltic Peninsula here. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you, brother. We're the peninsula boys.
Stop wearing hats. Everyone has to stop wearing hats.
Does that hurt the hairline?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
I wear hats all the time.
Hats and hoods. Stay away.
Hats and hoods. Hold on. Or I could hit us with like one of these things. Like now we get a real good look at that unhinged.
I don't know. People keep telling me like if you continue to wear hats and hoods and stuff like that, your hair's gonna fall out. I'm like, ugh.
Nothing's a more glaring reminder of our own mortality than like slowly losing hair. It's really making me reconsider.
I'm gonna send you guys an Onion article later. I hope you guys watch it. It's actually very funny.
Is that for hair, like for grooming tips? It's like
No, you'll like it. You'll laugh.
nice
You'll get a good chuckle out
That's
of
a
it.
good way to put a
Sounds
bow
good.
on this one.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if you put a bow in your hair,
Maybe-
that'll rip those follicles straight out. Yeah.
Oh,
I got this from Boeing for too long. Yeah. Also, another interesting thing is that, like, I feel like that you could. So I've got this widow's peak, but if I were to get this actually pushed further up to be in line with the others and just have a larger forehead, I feel like that's a tool at my disposal. Because
But
right
do you
now it's
want
the widow's
that?
peak
You're
is
gonna
actually
have, like-
accentuating the sides.
Mark,
No,
I suffer
no,
from
of course
like
not.
the worst
But,
widow's peak too. So
yeah.
I completely feel your pain. I'm never wearing a hat again.
We're peeking out.
You gotta.
I feel like at this point it's just let's just ride into that sunset.
Just shave it bald already.
Well,
Like,
I shaved it over the summer and it was a huge mistake. But also I did it myself and I took out a chunk of hair in the back of my head, so I had a bald spot because I like went too close to my scalp, like to the point where the razor made a different noise. Like when the pitch changes, and I was just like, oh no. So then I went to a barber in New York when I was back, and they were like, yeah, this is incredibly uneven. Like what like he's like, do you have alopecia? I don't understand why your hair looks like this. I'm like, buddy, We all were going through a trying time together.
Yeah. Yikes.
I guess I'll call my dermatologist and be like,
There's always hair plugs.
"Oh, there's
right?
hair plugs. There's like Propecia
Just chia
or
seeds.
other drugs.
Rogaine.
I
Is
don't
that
think
the right one?
Rogaine doesn't work.
Isn't he taking
Does
We
it?
should
his
ask
hair off
LeBron
of
what
his
he
back?
did.
It's not working.
You don't think so?
Yeah, it might be his butt.
Is it
Yeah.
back hair?
Hair off his ass.
Ass hair. It's yeah for
does.
sure. Also, LeBron's still. Also, KD's got like some bald spots, so it's cool.
Yeah, Katie's rough.
I like KD's bald spot. I think it's cool.
James Harden.
James Harden
Harden is doing something with his hair.
James
I'm
Harden's
just
like me. It's creeping up on those temples. You see it. I see it, James Harden.
bro, his forehead is like, I don't know what he's doing with the braids too.
I love
just
it.
doesn't look
It's
good.
cool. I can't wait to troll around Barclays Center when I'm back in New York and just hope to catch a glimpse
I don't
of Harden
think they
and
just
Kyrie.
hang out there.
Because I'm sure they
They
walk.
don't live
I'm
there.
sure they're just walking around Barclays. I think they just kind of hang out outside Barclays, which is like the area right outside Barclays
That's
is kind of like
probably
shitty.
right.
So
All
I
right.
bet they
Well,
just kind of chill there.
We've stolen our listeners for far too long, and no, not at all. Exactly.
No one has made it this far, I guarantee. I was checking the stats for the last episode, and it had some good viewership. But
Did it?
yeah, I don't know the percentage of
Yeah,
people who
probably,
are literally
but, you know,
finishing
it's
it
fine.
until the
We
final
push on
minute.
over.
It's got to be like 0. Let's put a little code, like a secret thing where it's like if someone made it this far, maybe some sort of threat or something that could get us in legal trouble.
Hey, Vans,
Yeah.
you better watch out.
Hey, yeah,
I think that's probably for the best.
Maybe I shouldn't publicly
And this
threaten
is not
the
the forum
CEO
for
of
that.
Vans.
Or we do positive reinforcement giveaway.
If anyone wants one of our T-shirts,
And you made it this far.
and you made it
That's
this
Hey,
far,
Vans.
DM us.
Yeah, please reach out.
I want one. I'll take one.
Mark, you're not going to get one.
I'll look. I keep grinding. I've been up all night laboring over this, blood, sweat, and tears for this podcast. Matt, in college, I was in the library. I was someone who was just grinding
It's
day
clear
and
as
night.
day.
And that's what I'm doing for the Hoop Drew podcast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One tweet every 2 weeks. That's doesn't exactly write itself. So.
All right. On that note, let's get out of here.
So yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
All right.
If you want a T-shirt and you still have made it this far, DM us, and we'll see you next time.